sang this song to me. There was a message in its melody, sweetest lyrics that I ever heard. There's a message in the songs of birds. Tomorrow is another day. Living is the only way tomorrow's gonna ever come. Listen to the words of the song. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything is gonna be alright.
Greetings and welcome to all of you who are watching this podcast. This podcast is going to be something that I believe that will help you change your life. It will definitely help you improve your health. Joining me tonight is Dr. Lisa Folden, and I'm going to allow her to tell you something about us, about herself. But of course, there is a little housekeeping. As you all know, I'd like for you to go out and like this video. Like the page if you haven't, and I want you to follow Dr. Lisa Folden also, because she does share a lot of tips about how to stay healthy. And that is the name of the game, because once you have your health, then you've got the energy that you need to make all of the money that you think that you deserve. Okay. Next, I want to thank our sponsor, HAES. When you need a supply company to rise to your needs, call Resource Industrial Supply Equipment. I think that is so cool. And they've been so very helpful with us in helping us keep this podcast in front of the public, because as you know, we do everything that has to do with health, emotional health, spiritual health, physical health, even mental health, sexual health, all of that, as well as equality. We do all of those important things that we need to know about in order to have a good life. So with that being said, I want you to, as I said, like it, follow Dr. Lisa Folden. And if you run out to my website, champagneconnection.com, you'll see we have some wonderful merchandise. So with that, Dr. Lisa Folden, thank you for joining me. So could you just let the audience know a little bit about what you do and how you got started and what was your motivation for starting?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, first of all, and for being flexible. I know we had to reschedule, so I appreciate that. So as you said, I'm Dr. Lisa Folden. I am a licensed physical therapist by trade, and I am certified through the National Academy of Sports Medicine as a behavior change specialist, which essentially I just use as my health coaching. My health coaching is focused on moms and women, but people who have busy lifestyles and have trouble squeezing workouts and fitness and wellness and other health components into their daily lives just because of work or kids or other responsibilities. So I've been practicing as a physical therapist for 13 years now. Wow. 13 years, no, 14 years. Wow, 14 years. And I have a private practice in Charlotte, North Carolina called Healthy Fit Physical Therapy and Wellness Consultants. And that has been open for 9 years now. So the reason I got into this field, at a young age, I just wanted to be in the medical field. I said I'd be a pediatrician. I was a kid. I liked kids. So when I was about 16, I went with my mom to the doctor to see my pediatrician, and my intentions were to ask him some questions about medical school, but he was only in the office with me for about 13 seconds. so I had no opportunity to ask him anything. And I left that appointment thinking, gosh, I only see him once a year and I don't really get to interact with him much. Maybe I want to do something different in healthcare. And at that time, the internet was brand new. So I went home and I typed in medical field and sports. And I did that because I was a dancer and a runner at the time. And I'm like, how can I combine the two fields? And I literally found sports medicine, which sent me down the rabbit hole to physical therapy. And I decided at 16, I was going to be a physical therapist. So I'm fortunate in that my desires didn't change. But once I got into the field, and I've always been very much into fitness and exercise, I just started to see a need on the wellness side.
Mhm.
And so I made sure to open my practice and offer wellness services as a part of what I do. And the mom coaching came because I became a mom and I realized how hard it gets when you have little people that you're caring for. So that's why my practice is focused heavily, the coaching part, on women and moms, because, I think I can make a difference with that group because I get what they're going through.
Cool. Let's talk a little bit about the moms. I know we've got a
Mhm.
list, but how can busy moms incorporate regular wellness and self-care in their daily lives? Because having that like
Yeah.
3-year-old or 6-year-old or the teenager that needs to be
Hmm.
watched even more than the 3-year-old, how do you
Yeah,
do
right.
that and work and do all the other things that women are supposed to do in this society?
It's a lot. It's a lot. And I get it. I have a 10-year-old daughter, an 8-year-old daughter, and a 6-year-old son. So I understand. And I built my businesses while having children. So very challenging, but you can do it. It's about prioritizing, deciding what's important to you, what you want out of your life, what vision you see for your health, and not just physical health, but your overall health. And then, getting a little bit organized, scheduling things, defining, your priorities, setting your boundaries around your time and your, commitments. That means saying no to things that don't serve you or fit in your day and in your schedule and your busy lifestyle. And one of the most important things, what I see most moms forget to do or neglect to do, is to ask for help. We were never put here to do this by ourselves. We have partners. If we don't have partners, we have friends, we have family, we have chosen family, friends that have become family. If you're a member of a church, you have church members. So, reach out and use your resources, outsource the things that you can, and ask for the assistance that you need in order to, create a lifestyle that you want, that you love, that values and prioritizes fitness, wellness, and self-care. So it's a loaded question, and I know that's a loaded answer, but it takes a lot of components to really carve out the time and the space you need to take care of yourself.
So, have you ever had situations where you've had to help women do that for themselves? Because women don't tend to have real good feelings around having to say no to someone else or having to
Mhm.
say no to someone, helping someone else achieve their goals. So how does that
Mhm.
conversation go and how do you get them over to the side where they're winning for themselves?
Yeah, it gets very sticky. And yes, I deal with this. Almost every client I've had has had this issue, not just my wellness clients, but my physical therapy clients. It'll be the same thing. It's like, I got to miss my appointment because I have to run my son to this, and then I got to, and I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. What about you? So it's sometimes it's very real and it's very individual because everybody has their own kind of hangups about that stuff. But for me, it's just reminding them, it's what you hear on the airplane. You have to put on your own oxygen mask. You cannot save the world. You weren't put here to save the whole world anyway. I'm from the death to superwoman tribe. Like, I don't believe in pretending women are supposed to do everything and be so strong and never back down. No, say no, take rest, take breaks, go on vacation, turn your phone on do not disturb, because you need that in order to refuel yourself and refill your cup. So it starts there, giving them the gravity of the situation. Because here's the reality: the longer we neglect ourselves to take care of others, the shorter our lives will be. And so if you look at it as though everybody needs me and I have to be there for them, my parents, my children, my community, my church, my job, consider this: if you check out of this life early, you're not there for them anyway. So you have to put yourself back at the top of the list. So it's hard, but there's a lot of reality checking that has to take place.
I love the death to superwoman drive.
Yeah, we don't do her.
That's right. We just don't do her, right?
Mm-mm.
So for women, what criteria should they focus on to obtain health? And let's talk a bit about the concept of health at every size, because
Mhm.
it just happened to me today. You're looking through a magazine, right? And you
Mhm.
say, my God, does she eat at all? You know?
Mhm. Yeah, I get it. So the funny thing, so health at every size, it's a coin or a term that's been around for a long time, but it got really popularized by Dr. Lindo Bacon. I consider them sort of a pioneer, in the wellness space. And Health at Every Size it's really a social justice movement more than anything. And the idea behind it is to increase inclusivity of bodies and people, races, genders, all of that stuff, and eliminate fat phobia and then size and weight discrimination specifically, along with all the other discriminations. But it's about radical belonging and acceptance and respecting your body and the bodies of others and compassionate self-care and awareness. So I stumbled upon Health at Every Size when I was transitioning my practice into more wellness focus, more of a wellness focus. I had been helping people who wanted to lose weight, and, I created a fitness program. And honestly, what I found is just like, all the diets of the world, everything is unsuccessful in the long term. 95% of people who try to intentionally lose weight gain it back within the year or less. And even more than that, I think it gets to about 98% when you go beyond that 1 year mark. So I realized what I was teaching and trying to help people do, though I had great intentions behind it, like, oh, let's exercise, let's cut your calories back, let's replace this with that. It really wasn't helping anybody. Ultimately, it was leading to weight cycling and all of the other issues associated with diets. So I stumbled upon Health at Every Size, kind of out of frustration. And I read the book. Dr. Lindo Bacon has a book called Health at Every Size, and it was so eye-opening. I followed that with their other books, and then the Intuitive Eating book by Evelyn Tribole and Elise Resch. And those books really just changed my life on how I viewed health, wellness, fitness, how I interacted with my body. And so now that I have that focus, and it's really been for the last couple years where it's been really ingrained in what I do, I help a part of my wellness programs to help people figure out what healthy is for them and not go by the size of your body or how much you weigh. I don't believe in BMI. It's a trash concept. If you look up the history on it, it was created by a mathematician, has no actual bearing on your health. And so many of the research and the things we see out there that say, being in a larger body is bad or unhealthy is all funded by diet companies and drug companies that make diet supplements. So follow the money, So anyway, this movement, Health at Every Size, has been great. And I help moms focus and women focus on all aspects of your health. So not just looking at the physical and the aesthetics, how much you weigh, how many muscles are visible, your BMI or any of that, but considering your emotional, your spiritual, your mental health, because they're just as important as your physical health. You can have a body that looks like you were carved by a Grecian god, but if your mental health is in the trash and you don't have your career goals figured out, and maybe you're in a toxic relationship, like that doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. What your body looks like doesn't matter. So we talk about ignoring the scale and adopting health behaviors and not being concerned with where your weight falls. Because the real research and the new research has shown, if you adopt health behaviors, whether it's walking, exercising, being outside, eating lots of fruits and vegetables, doing these things without restricting yourself or dieting or worrying about weight loss actually results in all the improvements in your health that you want without necessarily changing the weight. Some people will lose weight, some people might gain, and most of us will probably stay the same. Our bodies are really smart in determining their set point. And when we force them into submission, to get down to a certain size or a certain number, it rebels against us. So my work is helping people make peace with their bodies and learn how to treat it respectfully and take care of it.
So how does one start to make peace with their bodies? Because, most of us can't even get past the fact that we don't like our hair. Okay.
Yep. You're right. So recognizing that, one, it's a plot of diet culture to make you think that there's something wrong with your body. The idea is, if we continue to set a standard that is nobody actually reaches, and then once you maybe think you're getting there, change the standard a bit. The idea is that you will be a customer of diet culture forever. And it's a $72 billion industry, at least. So yeah. So the goal is to start to eliminate the noise, stop listening to the things you're listening to. If it's social media, stop following the pages that make you feel like your body isn't good enough. One of the tips that I give people, and it's funny, but it's true, is to start looking at your body regularly, like full naked in the mirror, check yourself out, normalize what you see, and recognize that there's nothing wrong with your body. Not everybody's going to make their way fully to body positivity, like, oh, I love myself, I'm so in love with the way I look. But we can all live in neutrality, where we respect our bodies for what they have done for us, how they have carried us, and we treat it with kindness and respect and love because of that gratitude. So you start there. You start to respect what you are and who you are and what you can do, and appreciate the fact that you just are, and be okay with that. And ideally, we'll get you on the body positivity side and really, really loving what you see. But as long as you're not hating yourself, speaking negatively about yourself, putting yourself down or letting other people do that to you, you're in a much better space for sure.
I like that. Just sort of being at peace with your body, which generally means you kind of have to start with what your thoughts are and have some peace in your mind too. Because, and the body set point, I was just thinking, I've been walking and working, and it's like I get to a point. I says, okay, this is my point.
Yes, that is
no matter
it.
what I do, I'm right here. Okay, I'm all right with that. I'm good.
Yeah. Which is a blessing, because so many of us feel like, well, no, that's not right. I really need to be smaller. And I love some of the memes I see on social media, because my feed is very much curated in the health at every size movement. It'll be like me telling my body, okay, I don't like the flab on this part of my stomach. I really need that to go away. And your body is like, huh? Like, it doesn't even understand that. Like, your body is working to keep you alive, keep you functional, keep you feeling good, and maintain homeostasis. You throw off that homeostasis because you gotta run 60 miles to try to lose this pinch of fat you don't want to see. Your body is not typically working with that, and not in a healthy way, and definitely not in a sustainable way. So
are there specific goals women should achieve to be healthy?
There's nothing specific across the board for every single person, because the whole concept of improving your health is really an individual journey. And that's why I'm so against diets, because they literally give everybody the same meal plan or calorie count and workouts, and say, you can look like her if you do this. And it's like, that's not even realistic. Like, all of our bodies genetically, like physiologically, we're all different. But in general, what I tell people to focus on when they're really looking at health is to consider things like blood pressure. So you can always, watch for your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your cholesterol. And, those are all labs that you take when you go to your yearly physical. And then also looking at things like your strength and your flexibility and your balance, which people ignore, and your endurance and your agility. Those are huge components of your physical health. And you can monitor those things, and none of them have anything to do with how much you weigh, or what size pants you wear, because that doesn't matter. But you can improve all of these things just by adopting good health behaviors, which ultimately extend your life and help improve your quality of life.
Okay, so your blood pressure, cholesterol, and your
blood sugar,
levels, the sugar levels. So don't eat all the sugar you can get, or food with that. No matter what size, don't eat it all, right? So, because those are important. And I never thought about, as a matter of fact, I never thought about balance until I had a doctor ask, "Are you falling?" It's like, no, only when I trip over uneven sidewalks when I'm hiking, but that's things I don't think we think about, is the balance and the flexibility. So what would be some keys to flexibility? How would women know to check to see if they're flexible? I don't know we even think about that.
No, we don't. And sadly, I always relate our flexibility. Our muscles are like rubber bands. You get a brand new pack of rubber bands, those babies, you can stretch them from one side of the room to the other. You sit that same rubber band in a container on your desk for 10 years, and you go to stretch it. As soon as you get to a certain point, it pops. That's what our muscles do. And so people don't recognize the benefits and the importance of stretching and maintaining your flexibility. So, it can be very simple. Any type of yoga you engage in is going to sort of force your flexibility. So, some gentle yoga is always a great way to go. But if you can stand up really tall, kind of arch your back and bend forward and not get to your toes, that's probably an indication that your hamstrings, the muscles on the back of your thigh, are really, really tight. If
So yeah,
you,
that's that yoga thing where you pull over and you
yeah,
go down and you okay.
absolutely.
All right. Yeah,
So,
it does
and
hurt when
that's,
you first do it.
yeah, and that's a muscle group that a lot of people that just get tight. The hamstrings and the hip flexors, the muscle on the front of the hips, because a lot of us sit for work or just sit throughout the day, and those muscles just get short over time. So, basic stretch, you can Google full body stretches. I have some on my Instagram, and you can just go through, several movements. And when you feel restrictions or you feel like, oh, that's uncomfortable, that's an indication that you're not as flexible as maybe you should be in that particular motion. And if you're not sure, you can always just do an evaluation with a PT just to kind of go through it and make sure.
And I'm an example that just because you do 30 miles a week worth of hiking doesn't mean that bending over, touching your hamstring is going to be easy. Okay.
Oh no, some of the most fit and strong people have poor flexibility. And because I'm a physical therapist, I see it when they come to me after they've injured themselves and they were in great shape doing wonderful things, but not maintaining their flexibility. And that's a really big one. And the same thing with balance. Do you know how quickly your quality of life decreases when you have a bad fall? And you could have been in perfect health, getting around, doing everything on your own, but you have one bad fall, you break one bone, you have to be immobile for 1 month or 1 week even, and everything can change. So flexibility, strength, and balance are so important components, very important components of your health.
So for those of you listening, remember, we hear a lot about blood pressure, cholesterol, and sugar, but we hear very little about flexibility, balance, and agility. So be sure you find something to do every day where you can be sure you remain flexible, in balance, and agile. And there's, as Dr. said, you can go to Dr. Lisa Folden's page, you can search around the internet, but be sure you do something every day. That is great. I'm sitting here thinking, I got the 3-4 miles today. I did the squats, I did the push-ups, but my God, I didn't bend over and hang down to my thing. So I don't some exercise.
Absolutely. All those muscles you work, you got to stretch them out afterwards.
So accountability is a big thing because you've got to have a list and you've got to stick to it. So what do you recommend for your clients to keep themselves accountable?
So what I find with most of my clients, because most of us are coming from sort of a diet mentality, and accountability in the diet world is very different than how I view it, in the health at every size world. Often we need so much accountability because we don't like what we're doing. So usually we're doing exercises we don't like, but we're trying to lose weight. So we're just going through it, forcing ourselves through it. Usually we're, on a diet and restricting ourselves and eating foods we don't like because we just believe we're supposed to restrict everything, cut everything out, and maybe binge once a week on a cheat meal or something silly like that. So I find accountability becomes much easier when you ditch the diets and you adopt a mindset of just practicing health behaviors that I enjoy, listening to my body and understanding my hunger signals, my satiety, my fullness cues, so that I'm eating when I'm hungry and stopping when I'm full, and exposing myself to a variety of foods instead of saying, don't eat carbs, don't touch potatoes, don't touch rice. All of those things just become a guide to you when you make them, on the no flies list. So I don't find accountability to be huge when you shift your mindset. So the mindset part first, and then this. But when you need that support and accountability, health coaches, obviously, a coach that's aligned with your mantra, your goals, your vision, and then even, friends and family members that are on board with you, they're fine. As long as everybody is sort of on the same page and not, like I said, living in that diet world, you can have people support you and help you be accountable. Outside of that, really, for me, my accountability comes from creating routines and a schedule and just sticking to my schedule. I do I'm way more productive if it's a day I get up and the kids have to be to school at a certain time and I have to be to work at a certain time. Because guess what? I have this predetermined window of time to get in my stretching, my prayer and meditation, my 20 or 30-minute workout, get dressed and get out the door. And then at work, I'm focused on work. The kids are doing what they need to do. I have my time frame for all of my to-do lists, and then I'm done. I pick them up and go home, and it's all done. So everything has a place. So for me, the biggest component of maintaining accountability and really sticking to my guns is having things laid out and scheduled and predetermined. I meal prep, sometimes get clothes out before the night before. Anything to help me be more prepared to be successful is what keeps me accountable to myself and to my routine.
Okay, so we have to plan to be healthy.
Absolutely.
And productive. It's just not something we just stumble up on. So what have you found besides the planning, what have you found to be some of the other obstacles that people struggle with when it comes to being healthy? Because we've just given them a lot of components of their life, and it's a lot to think about. So
it is.
I know you meet very few people that say, oh yes, great idea, I'm going to do it. And then they come back and they've done everything right.
Yeah.
I would be one of those people though. Okay.
I have people like that. Some of us are very goal oriented and very internally driven. So you just don't need as much pushing because they want to do it. They want to see the results. So they're happy. The biggest struggle outside of, having a schedule and having some level of organization is really just being caught up in diet culture. Most people, no matter how far we get away from like this mentality of I have to lose weight, it just kicks back in at some point. Like they want to know, am I losing weight? Am I changing size? Am I getting this? Am I doing that? And they start comparing themselves to other people. So it's really, there's a lot of little things, but it's the overwhelming umbrella is diet culture, always telling you it's not quite enough. So I have a lot of moms, we have to work with just not looking at other people, like not looking to other people for your motivation. Some people, we do vision boards, right? And some people have like the vision for my business, the vision for my relationship, and then they'll have the vision for my health. And it's with women, it's almost always a picture of some bikini model. And it's like, we have to throw that away. Okay. And I'm not saying that you may not one day look like a bikini model. That's your choice. I believe in body autonomy. You do what you think is best for you. But more often than not, because of the statistics I gave you earlier about diets, most people will fail to meet that goal without some severely disordered eating, some depression along the way, and some weight cycling where you lose the weight and then get tired of maintaining the schedule and gain it back. And then you get on schedule again and get strict and lose the weight and gain it back. Those things are associated with depression and all kinds of chronic diseases that we put on obesity, So it's really just, changing the mindset, letting go of the comparing, again, being organized and setting a schedule, and then setting the boundaries. Most of the women who struggle with maintaining a level of competency in their fitness and wellness, they don't know how to tell people no. They don't know how to say, I'm not doing that. I can't do that. I have something already going on. Creating a space for yourself to do the things you want to do. Sometimes in the mornings, my kids will be coming in the room one after another, like, Mommy, and I'm like, hey, I'm still doing my meditation. Please leave. And it's like, but it's like, I need this time. It's like, you don't want me to be yelling at you and all short with you today, right? I need this time. And it's the same way with, our wellness, overall wellness, and our fitness. Telling people, listen, I need this time. Telling your kids, your partner, Mommy needs this time. Please leave. Like, give me 10 minutes and I'll be right there. I promise. We have a lot of mom guilt with that and partner guilt. So we don't like to do that.
Have you found that your children are mimicking you in some of those behaviors?
Absolutely. And my 8-year-old, she's quite the copycat, but she tells me all the time, she's like, Mommy, you are not respecting my boundaries. And I'm like, okay, listen, you can have boundaries. I will respect most of them, but some of them, clean your room, dear.
Right.
Yeah.
So you'll have a clean space to meditate in.
Exactly. And they do. the kids, I always say kids don't really do exactly what you tell them to do, but they absolutely do what they see you do. So yeah, my kids will randomly say, I need to stretch, I need to work out, I need to go have some alone time and meditate or pray. So they're picking up on it. It's not something they do every single day by any means, but they're picking up on those behaviors. And as I have shifted over to being, anti-diet and weight inclusive, they're understanding the beauty and the utility of their bodies without looking and like trying to figure out how to make it different. So those talks will undoubtedly continue to come up. I have a 10-year-old, so it's coming. But I think what I'm doing now is setting a better example for them in how they will treat and care for their bodies in the future.
So out of all the health goals that people set for themselves, and I'm including all the full realm of health, emotional, physical, spiritual, what do people usually find are the most overwhelming?
Oh, you know what? I don't know that there's one that's overwhelming. I think that when people consider all of them together, that's what's overwhelming to them. I think that's what stops people, because then it seems like this big project that they just can't tackle. You know what I mean? If you give people one instruction, like, okay, I want you to walk 3 times a week. Most people can say, you know what? I can make time for that. But when you tell people, okay, I want you to walk 3 times a week. I want you to make sure you have at least 2 or 3 servings of vegetables a day. I want you to make sure you're drinking 80 ounces of water a day. I want you to make sure you're praying you give them this list. It's like, it's a lot, read 1 book a month. It becomes a lot. So I like to start really small. First of all, I like to take an inventory of what they're already doing. Like, what's working? I don't need to change. Everything is not broken. Everything does not need to be fixed. So what's working? What are you doing already that is serving you well and that you're pretty committed to? And then we start to add in little habits here or there, because when you give them this whole list, we're going to make you perfect physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. That is not a 1-week project. That's not a 1-year project. That is an ongoing thing. So the biggest issue is getting people to respect that it's a journey. And there is no end goal. And again, another reason I don't do diets, because it's always like, what's your starting picture? Let's take your before picture. What's your starting weight? What's your finishing? Yeah. Like, we don't finish. Like, we're going to live here. We're going to live in this lifestyle that feeds me mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. And we're not going to create fitness habits that take away from my mental well-being, my emotional and social well-being, because it's not feeding me as a whole. So just breaking things down. I think people get overwhelmed at the sum of it all. So breaking it down seems to really make it more digestible.
So for those of you who are watching, that is important. So you don't have to do it all today. Okay. You just have to have a schedule. You have to get started. I think that's the hardest part. It's just getting started. Pick something that you can do and get started, because we do want to be here a lot longer than we would be if we don't do anything.
Yes.
So,
for sure.
So when you're working with, I know, so you probably have a lot of different plans for each one of your clients, because everybody's different and need different things. What one thing do they all have in common that you think is there one thing that all of them do that's the same? And maybe that's a good place for people to start.
With regard to getting better in their health.
Better, yeah.
I would say, because I do, have a niche group, I work with busy moms. We do come into the picture with a lot of things in common. And usually it's just an overwhelming amount of responsibility and feeling like they can't do it. So one of the biggest tools that I use with everybody, I think I've done this with every mom I've ever worked with, is establishing organization by way of a planner and or a command center in your home. Like, I've helped people create a space in your kitchen that everybody can walk by, where there is a calendar, there's some clipboards, there's notes, because if you can create organization for yourself and for your family, doing the things that you need to do to take care of yourself become far more seamless. If you're flying by the seat of your pants every day and waking up like, oh, what is it, picture day? Oh, what to do today? Oh, am I going to this exercise class? Like, you can't function that way.
Right.
I mean, I guess some of us can, but it's harder. And it's harder to commit to any, significant change in any area of your life. So for almost all of my moms, we are either using a planner or the planner on your phone, whatever works for you. Some people aren't into writing it, or a command center in your home to organize your lifestyle. That is probably the one tip, because for me, that's where it starts, because that's how you figure out how you can fit in all the things.
Yeah, and there are a lot of busy moms, they're busier than ever before because there's some kids are home still.
Mm-hmm.
I bet that was interesting. It's like
worst few months of my life. No.
So
Hard.
in a case of another maybe eventual shutdown, how would people maintain when they're home with everybody?
Yeah, it's I pray that does not happen. we only had, my husband works in corporate retail, so he didn't actually ever stay home, but he was, during the pandemic, he had an injury and ruptured his Achilles tendon. So he was, yeah. So there was about a month, 2 months where he was home, and I was caregiving for him, taking care of the children because there was nowhere for them to go. School was out, or school was finishing, and then still trying to run my business and go to work a couple days a week. That nobody should have to live like that, because it's too much. But during that time, I was coaching other moms, and some of the things that we were able to do to make things easier, we recognized that the pandemic wasn't going anywhere. We knew at that point the kids weren't going back to school, at least until the following school year. So we had to change things. And for a lot of my clients, one of my clients in particular, that meant we have to create a workspace for you that's comfortable, because she was working at her dining room table, dealing with back pain, feet going numb, all kinds of issues. And the kids were like working from their beds. So it was like, you know what? We got a spare room in the basement. It used to be, I don't know what it was, maybe a recreation room or workout room. Guess what? Now it's the office. So she got some desks, put up some partitions. She got herself set up in a different area of the house. She had a lumbar support for her low back. We made her monitor height perfect. She ordered an extra keyboard. We basically created a space in her home that was functional for her and her family to work, because we knew it's not like, oh, we're just doing this for a week. Like, no, this is going to be many months, and we don't know, it might be a year or more. So changing things and not being afraid to add in the supports and resources you need to make things more functional and more comfortable so you can be efficient. So that's probably one of the biggest things I'd say if we were to go back into a scenario where it's us, home all day with the kids trying to figure it out. But please don't let that happen.
But that's actually a good plan to have regardless, because kids still have to do homework. Sometimes you're catching up on work at home in the evenings, and you need a space to work out. So that's actually a good idea, is decide where all of that's going to occur, and that's the place that it occurs, in that place. And no, they don't have homework over there too. It's like in that place. So yeah.
In that place. Everything should have a place.
Okay. That is a good tip. So
thank you.
I know some people watching are probably thinking about, well, okay, I should get a wellness coach. I need to get on track. And I think wellness coaches are great, but for those listening, they don't do your work for you, though. You have to do their work. So you have to do your own work. So what should people consider when they're choosing a wellness coach?
So some of the basic things, you want to make sure whoever you're working with is educated in some way. And, this is not to knock anyone who maybe got into fitness and started just kind of helping people on the side, because I think there's a space for that. But I think when you're trying to help people optimize their fitness and their overall wellness, we're talking physical, emotional, spiritual, there needs to be some level of training, some level of certification. Everybody is not a wellness coach just because they said it. So definitely checking credentials and making sure who you're working with has the knowledge and the training and the education or the certifications to help you. I encourage you to do a discovery call with any potential health coach. I offer them 15 minutes for free, just me and you on the phone. Tell me your concerns, ask me all the questions. So vet them, check their education and credentials, see if you can find testimonials from past clients to give you an idea of how they work. And then beyond that, it's really about the vibe. I think I'm great at what I do, but I know I'm not for everybody at all. And it's okay. And everybody's not for me. So getting a chance to talk with them and see kind of how they what they value,
Mhm.
how they work with people, and seeing if it meshes with you. Because health coaching, wellness coaching, it's not like your primary doctor where you go in, even though I think you should have a great relationship with your primary doctor. But if you're not sick, you go see them once a year. It's kind of quick. You might have a better rapport with your nurse, and that's fine. But it's not the same with coaching, even with physical therapy. You spend a lot of time with these people.
Mhm.
So you need to like them. Basically. So vet them, check their credentials, make sure your personalities vibe, and make sure you guys share the same philosophy. For example, I am not the coach to come to if you're trying to lose 100 pounds for your wedding. I'm not doing that. I can't help you with that. God bless you. I'll give you what I have, but I can't do anything to get that goal. So you wouldn't come to me, and conversely, if you wanted to be anti-diet and weight inclusive and not focus on the scale, you shouldn't go to a coach that their whole page is about before and after pictures and how much weight have you lost, because you guys don't have the same values or the same mantra on health. So find someone who's like-minded, that you get along with, and that has some education and credentialing.
Fantastic. So can you share one of your success stories? No names allowed, just one of your success stories.
So with the coaching, with the Busy Mom coaching, I actually started a new program and I beta tested it. And I just finished last week, and I've had a couple clients, but one in particular, she's writing me up a lovely testimonial that I can't wait to share. But with what she's already shared with me, she's a newer mom. She had a 1-year-old and she's married. She and her husband, very highly educated, very much in, the university life and teaching and educating and doing all the things, meetings on meetings on meetings. And of course, the pandemic, and she's like with an infant. So she had a lot going on. She was overwhelmed. And she went to see her primary care doctor, who told her, she was doing great. Like, your baby is 10 months now, and your lab work looks great. No issues with your cholesterol, no issues with your blood pressure. And then the last thing the doctor said was, but you really should lose some weight. And my client was like, okay. And so the doctor prescribed her fat burners, which just boils my blood, and basically told her, it's okay, you can lose this weight, whatever. So she came to me disappointed because she had been doing all the things and was not losing weight, or would lose a few pounds and gain it right back. And so we kind of threw all of that stuff out the window, and we decided to refocus and start the program focused on being healthy. And we worked together for just 6 to 8 weeks. And she has maintained her great lab work. She has stopped checking her weight altogether, but she has noticed that her clothes fit differently. She has improved energy. She feels great. She has a set schedule now. She's never had food freedom in her life. She has always had things on a list she wasn't supposed to eat. And now she's able to eat them. But she's not binging on them and eating them every day because they're allowed. So it's no longer like this secret indulgence. It's like, oh, I want ice cream today. I'm going to have ice cream today. And then she might not have it again for 10 days or a month because it's not a big deal anymore. So she's expressed a lot of that to me, and she's been very thankful and grateful and appreciative. And she's just living a whole different life. So she's maintaining all her health stuff. She's exercising, she's stretching. She found some activities that she loves. Like, she's found a line dancing class, and it brings her so much joy, and it's exercise, but she's just having fun and doing the things she wants to do. So she's been one of my best, and I'm so proud of her. And she's continued, beyond the beta testing for my program, she's continued on. So it's been really good.
Oh, that is exciting.
Yeah.
Gosh, as a matter of fact, when you do take the forbidden fruit sort of way, and you can have anytime, you're right. I'm thinking about that. It's like, when I realize I can have as much of that as I want, I don't want much of that. Right.
Exactly. Because if you're listening to your body, you're not going to stuff it down your throat for 6 hours because it's not going to taste good. It's not going to feel good. So just recognizing nothing is off limits anymore unless you're allergic to it. It's spoiled or rotten or something like that. And I understand people, if you are diagnosed with diabetes, yes, you do have to be far more careful in your approach to sugars. But in general, for the average person, if you just have these things in your life and don't treat them like there's some special, or horrible thing, it no longer has like that effect on you, for real.
So society and this image. So as women are beginning to, I guess, look at magazines and see those images, how do we start to open ourselves up to the fact that as long as we're healthy, that's the beauty? Because that health is what determines the quality of life and all the experiences we can have. That's the beauty. And it's not just physical health, because you can be the bikini size and have all kind of other issues happening. And
Yeah,
just for the
sure.
record, just because you're size 6 bikini doesn't mean your blood pressure is not high, and it doesn't
Ever.
right, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not a diabetic either. So the photos don't necessarily mean good health. So what would you like women to think when they think of those things? And what should we start considering, and how do we find ourselves in a pattern and then stop it? Because sometimes we say, and you hear it all the time, oh God, she should lose some weight. And I'm saying, why? What I mean?
You know what?
Really?
Yeah, who cares? The first part of that is it's hard to step away from something when you don't recognize it's a problem. And the reason that fat phobia is such a big deal and stigmatizing people based on their weight is because it's ingrained into our media, our television, magazines, movies, and into our healthcare system. So that trash BMI has been adopted into our insurance companies and how they charge us for our health benefits and our premiums. So it is really hard. You'd have to live in a bubble to not be impacted by it. So recognizing, one, that it's an issue and it's wrong. And even though it's mainstream and it's what most people are doing, it's still wrong. And then you have to start to engage in a community that teaches the opposite of that. So I encourage people to go to the HAES, HAES community.org page. There's great resources. There's a registry. There's a pledge you can sign, that says you believe in the health at every size mantra and you want to apply it to your life and how you engage with other people. There's a registry of healthcare professionals on there. You might be able to find someone in your area, but go to that site for support, and then, do the reading, read the books, learn all the things, and then curate a lifestyle and a social media presence that reflects that. So you will see less and less of the things that are making you feel like you're supposed to look this way, or if you don't look this way, you're probably, unhealthy, or if you look this way, you probably have this diagnosis or that diagnosis. And there's a level of activism involved in it. And I have found myself on the other side, having to defend people and defend my beliefs and my thought processes, because it is ingrained in our society that if you are in a large body, if you are fat, if you are not thin, if you are not muscular or do not look a certain way, then you're probably just unhealthy and you really just need to lose weight. and we don't respect the fact that I wear a size 7.5 shoe. I should never need to be down to a size 6 shoe because this is the way my feet are made. But we don't take that when we're talking about body size. We don't think people are supposed to be in different bodies. It's like, oh no, we should all be around a size 6. And it's like, that doesn't make sense. Body diversity is a real thing. Fat people have been around since the beginning of time. And trust and believe, if there was a diet that made everybody a size 6, everybody would be on it and we would all be a size 6, period. But that is not the way our bodies are made. Genetics, we think we have way more control over the way our bodies look than we do. Outside of laying on the surgical table and going under anesthesia to create and sculpt the body you want, you have a lot less control over the way your body looks than you think. Most of what your body does is genetics and influenced by environment and other things. You have a small window where you can manipulate stuff with the way you eat and the way you move. But in general, you have less than 25% control over what your body looks like. You really don't. We like to think we do. And for a period of time, you can, right? You see people who get ready for fitness competitions. My dad was a bodybuilder. He would eat baby food and basically work out like crazy and look amazing. And then the competition be over, he'd go back to his normal lifestyle. So just recognizing and curating an environment that encourages your health at every size and your beauty and your utility and your purpose, and that you are more than a body. Because we spend so much time talking about our bodies, but it's really the least interesting thing about us. Like, there's so much more to us than what our bodies look like. You know what I mean? Even what our bodies can do. And, you know, that changes over time. There may be a time where we become disabled and can't do certain things. And sometimes that's a part of the journey, but that doesn't take away your value as a human. So, yeah.
I used to always say, don't worry about that. The car accident or the right disease will just take care of that for you, right?
Right.
we are so much more than our bodies. And if
so
we
much
could just take time to just explore and discover who we are, man, it would be an amazing life. Gosh.
Absolutely.
I want to thank you for joining us tonight. This was a great conversation. And for those of you who are watching it live, I want to thank you for watching it live. And I want to thank those in advance who will watch it as it's posted up after it's recorded. But this has been a fantastic conversation. And for those of you listening, and I know I have a lot of male followers, you can do the same things too, guys. Okay. It's just that today, Dr. Folden specializes with busy moms. So you can do the same thing too. Learn to love your body that you're in. Spend some time exercising and stretching and take care of your emotional and mental health. And above all else, do have a plan. Have a plan. And we're finding out that we have to have a plan in order to experience a long, healthy life.
Absolutely.
So thank you very, very much. I want to say, as I always say before we close the show, is I want you to live the life that you dream about. I want you to make today so wonderful that yesterday gets jealous. And find a hill worth climbing and climb that hill, okay? Because you're worth it. And above all else, do it your way. Life is too short to drink cheap champagne. I'm Stephanie Wilson-Coleman, the Empowerment Doctor, and it has been a pleasure. Thank you again, and I look forward to having you on the show again.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, I'm Stephanie Wilson-Coleman, the Empowerment Doctor, and I have a couple of tips to share today. As I was out walking, I realized that it takes more than motivation to achieve your goals. It takes discipline. Motivation is the emotion of wanting to do something. Discipline is the doing the thing that needs to be done, whether you feel like doing it or not. So here are a few tips to be more disciplined in reaching your goals. When it comes to goals, I want you to begin by choosing just one goal, just one thing that you want to focus on to develop your self-discipline. For instance, perhaps you want to start exercising every day, or you want to read a book a week in order to enhance your skills. Whatever you choose, start small, because that is the best way to start to develop your self-discipline. Breaking down that goal into smaller sub-goals is key. Next thing are obstacles. You've got to identify your obstacles, such as distractions from messages, social media, noise. Whatever it is that takes you off of task, identify that, and then create strategies to help you manage those distractions. Then there's always action, so I want you to take action. Identify small action steps that you can take toward reaching your goals. Whatever you start, finish it. Overcome the urge to put it off. Just finish it. Then I want you to create a list. Create a list of your whys. List 5 reasons why the goal is important. 5 reasons why you want this. What does it give you? How will you feel when you achieve the goals? Those are just a few of the questions I want you to ask yourself when you are identifying your whys. Then I want you to stay focused. Sometimes it's 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. And that's with everyone. I want you to stay focused on the goal. And that is the key that will keep you on your path. So start your discipline journey today. Remember, it takes more than motivation to achieve your goals. It takes discipline. I'm Stephanie Wilson-Coleman, the Empowerment Doctor, and as I always say, life is too short to drink cheap champagne. Have a great day. Trust your greatness.
But life's too short to drink cheap champagne, so I decided to buy me a better brand to taste with my strawberries. What a high, lemon bubbles in the sky on the beach with blue.